and record. Again, the test will be tomorrow, so make sure that you guys are ready for that. It is not a timed test, but I don't want you to spend forever on it. It's not that bad. Most of it is multiple choice. There are some that you are going to have to upload. So the reason I'm not making it a timed test is because when my Math 3 tried to upload stuff, it took them forever just to get it to upload. So I don't want to make it a time test, okay? But all you need today is a sheet of paper, and I will tell you what you need to know for this test. I am literally going question by question. Um, if you have any questions while I'm going over it, just let me know, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm literally, like I said, just a sheet of notebook paper is all you need. So the first thing that you want to know is categorical versus quantitative. So it's going to ask you about a specific set of data. Is it categorical or is it quantitative? Or it may ask you like a list of data and say which one is not categorical or which one is not quantitative. Okay, so know the difference. So what is categorical? If you need to take extra notes, make sure that you take those extra notes. This is on you, okay? This is your test. So what is categorical?
It's like something that can't be averaged, so like a color or.
Right. Somebody else, what's quantitative?
Something that can be counted.
Absolutely. So make sure that you understand the difference. You can average quantitative, you cannot average categorical. Okay, so know the difference between the two. The second one, you need to be able to find relative frequency. Be able to find relative frequency. Remember, the formula for that is the count over the total. All right. The third thing you want to do is you need to know the best representation of data. So that is whether you use a bar graph, a stem, a histogram, a pie chart, or a dot plot, box and whisker. When do we use bar graphs?
For categorical.
Categorical, yeah. Stem and leaf plot, you guys know what those are. You can use those for small sets of data. Don't use it for large sets. Histogram is that quantitative bar chart, sorry. So you're going to use it for quantitative data. When do we use pie charts?
Showing parts of the whole.
Kendall, that was really, really super muffled.
So when you're showing parts of a whole?
Yeah. Parts of a whole, so percentages of a whole, okay? Dot plot, we didn't talk about those much, but we made those just with the little dots or whatever. Those are really good to be able to show the shape of the graph. So again, you wouldn't do a dot plot with a million plots, okay? Small amounts of data. And then box and whisker, when you need to figure out if it's skewed left or right, something like that. It's easy. So it'll ask you which one is the best representation, and it's not going to give you, I mean, you're going to know, okay? You're going to know. So the fourth thing is finding the standard deviation from a data set. And you don't have to do that by hand. You can do it on your calculator. So how do you do it on your calculator?
You enter your data in the stat, and then you
Put it in L1, and then where do you go?
do one bar stats.
Your one var stats. Where is one var stats?
You press stats and then calculate.
Stat over to calc, one var stats. So to find standard deviation from data, go ahead and put it in your L1, and then stat, calc, one var stats. And which one do we use? Because there's two of them, right?
Doesn't
The
have
one with the S.
Yes, the one with the S. Make sure you use the one with the S. Okay. All right. The next thing you need to know is which type of center and spread to use. And that's between normal or symmetric and skewed. So what do you use for normal and symmetric?
The mean.
And what spread?
IQR.
Nope.
Median.
Nope. Median is another measure of center.
This is
Oh.
a range.
What?
Range.
Nope, not the range.
Standard deviation.
Standard deviation. Good job. We might want to study that. Skewed, what do we use for the center?
Median.
Median. And then for the spread?
IQR.
Or what else could we use?
range, like just the
Range. Why would I use range and not IQR? Because I know how to find IQR now. So you don't know quite which one to use. It just depends on what you have. If you have a chart with a lot of stuff on it, like a lot of data, then I would just use range, lowest to highest. But if you have like the actual data set, I would use the IQR because you can find it in your calculator. So if you can find it in your calculator, use your calculator. If they give you an output, so they might give you something that looks like this, where they have minimum, Q1, median, Q3, max. They might give you the standard deviation, blah, 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 whatever. If they give you the output like that, so let's say it's 2, 4, 8, 10, 12, something like that, okay? Then if they give you this, use your median and then use your IQR instead of using your range. Even though you have your range, IQR is a better example because that's where your median is going to fall. It like shrinks your data down to the median. Okay. All right. So you'll probably see something like this. And if they ask you to make a box plot out of that, you just plot those points to make your box. Okay. So be ready for that. The sixth thing you need to do is be able to calculate IQR. How do you calculate IQR?
Q3 minus Q1.
And you can find that on the calculator, or if they gave you this, 10 minus 4. Okay, really simple. But you do need to know how to calculate that. Okay, you need to know how to find the mean or the median after changing data. So remember how we had a data set and it might have ended with a max of 60, but then we changed it to 600. Okay, you have to be able to find the mean or the median after changing that one data set. Okay, so be aware of that. Or Sally had 6 test scores that averaged to a 90. Then they added a 7th test score. If she still wants a 90, what does that score have to be? She still wants to average a 90. So be smart with that. Be smart with that. The 8th one we didn't really talk about, but we know it. Know the difference in the correlation. Remember, positive is increasing, so positive correlation is increasing. Negative is decreasing. No correlation would be like a scatter plot, like no defined anything. And we'll get back to correlation, but this one's not hard on your test. I think you're looking at a chart and telling whether it's positive, negative, or no correlation. Okay. Has everybody got this? We good? All right. 9. Know what is and isn't quantitative data. So there are numerical numbers that are not quantitative data. Your student ID is not quantitative. Why is your student ID not quantitative?
Because all the numbers like have to stay together.
Yeah, like your social security number would not be, you don't average those. Okay, so social security number would not be quantitative data. So know the difference in what is and what isn't, even though it's numeric, okay? Number 10, make sure you know how to find outliers. How do you find outliers? This is probably the one that we haven't done much of, but you're gonna have to be able to do it. How do you find outliers?
Multiply your interquartile range by 1.5 and then subtract the Q1 and by that number, and then add it to the Q3. And if anything falls outside of that range, it's an outlier.
Okay, so we do the 1.5 times IQR rule. We subtract it from Q1 and we add it to Q3. And if it falls outside of those two numbers, so lower than this number and higher than this one, then it's going to be an outlier. Okay. The little data set that I just showed you that they give you, so they'll give you something that looks like this, like an output. Sorry, it's sideways. Like this, you have to know how to make that into a box plot. Guys, it gives you the numbers. You should not miss this question. Okay, so make a box plot from data output. Okay, so the difference between make a box plot from data is they just give you random numbers. Data output is they already give you those numbers, so you don't have to put it in the stat. They give you the Q1, the Q3, the median, the min, and the max. Okay. Make sure when it asks you to compare, you use shape, center, spread, and outliers to compare. A lot of people forget the 4 of these when they try to compare. If you forget those, you will be counted off lots of points, so be ready for that. Shape, center, spread. Anytime you see compare, shape, center, spread, outliers.
So we need to use every single one of them when we're comparing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then if it's comparing 2 sets of data, like male to female, remember you want to compare them separately. So you want to say like the male shape is, the center shape is, the spread shape is, the outliers are, or say if you want to do it all together, you can say the male shape is normal compared to the female shape is skewed. So that way you kind of do both at the same time. The male center at 35 is higher than the female center at 26. So you can do it all at one time. Just make sure you compare them singularly and together. And you can do that all at one time, or you can do it separate. So singularly and together. Be able to calculate conditional and marginal distributions. You have 2 examples of those in your notes. Go back over those and know why you do it. You also had it in your homework. This one is one of the most missed questions on the test because people do it incorrectly. Like when we had superpowers, like female superpowers, they would do female over total superpowers when it was supposed to be superpowers over total females or something like that. So know which way that you're supposed to write the fraction to get that percentage. And then make sure that you know how to make a histogram. Make sure you know how to make a histogram. Oh, sorry. Okay, remember when you make any data or charts or whatever, you always want to label everything. That will get you points off. Make sure you label everything. If it's a stem and leaf, we want to include the key. And then I just want to give you the breakdown of the test and we'll be done for today. So you have 10 multiple choice. These will be the first ones that you do. You have 6 free response. And sometimes they're easy and sometimes they're not. What I mean by that is sometimes they're like really short answers and sometimes they're a little bit more loaded. And then you have 1 crappy question. So that's like what you would get on the free response part of your AP test. So this free response is more like short answer. This is free response like you get on your AP exam. Okay. So the way that I grade it is I take your grade from your multiple choice, I take your grade from your free response, and I average it together. Your FRAPI question will be a grade in itself, and it will continue to go throughout the semester. So you have a possibility of 5 out of 5 for this question. If next chapter you have a FRAPI question that has 5 parts, you'll have whatever out of 10, but you've already got 5 out of the 10 because you got a 5 on this one. So it can always increase and decrease and fluctuate throughout the semester. So make sure that you guys are doing well on this FRAPI question. Okay. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Can you go over marginal versus conditional real quick?
All right, so remember our marginal was when we were talking about, marginal's the easy one. Sorry, this is all crinkled up. So we had young adults by gender and chance of getting rich. And so they were split into female and male, but we were just talking about almost no chance. So if it asks you for the marginal distribution of superpowers. I'm sorry, not superpowers, that's the other problem. Of opinions, that's this one. It has nothing to do with male and female. You do the total no chance over the total table. So the total of no chance over the table total. So marginal is the easy one, okay? So it's always whatever they ask for over that. But then when you do conditional, sorry, I can't turn the papers. They'll put a condition on it. So it doesn't just say of the opinion. They'll say, so we can, let me find the example right here. The female column gives a conditional distribution of opinion among women. So they would ask you for opinion among women. If they ask you for opinion, that goes on top. Whatever is second goes on bottom. So
Okay.
if they did it the other way, women among opinion or women's opinions, you want to put women's on top and the opinion on the bottom. Be careful of how they say it. That's where people mess up. Okay, so again, if you wanted to look at this one, for instance, the conditional distribution of gender among those who responded almost certain. Gender goes on top, almost certain goes on the bottom. Does that make sense?
It'll say if it needs to be like female over female or female over the total.
Say it one more time, what?
Like, can it be female over the total of everyone and then like male over the total of everyone?
Yes, that would be a marginal.
Okay. So marginal doesn't have to be both male and female over the total. It can be one or the other.
Correct. Okay. All right. Any more questions? Everybody good? All right. So tomorrow I will open this up first thing in the morning so you can get it done whenever you want to, or you can look at it and work on it or whatever. But I will open it up first thing in the morning. So during our normal class time, we will not have a Zoom at all. If you have any questions, you can email me, but I cannot promise I can get back to you right at that second. So you may have to just be patient with me. Okay. Any more questions?
Ms. Jones, I have a question on the homework from Friday.
Okay, give me just a minute. Any more questions about the test? All right, so if you don't have any questions about the test or any more questions for me,